Hey, this is Cameron, and welcome to the practice room. Whoa, guys, you know I'm in grad school? Whoa. Yeah, this is part 2 of that Julian Lage video that came out pretty recently. So, I'm gonna have a link in the description for the first part. Be sure to watch that first. And yeah, that's it. Alright, enjoy the video. All the time. Very nice, Julian. Alright, let's talk about focal dystonia, and then I think that's gonna pretty much be the end of this one.
For the first 20 years, I don't know, years of my life, I missed one day of playing the guitar and all this year. It was obsessive. It was kind of like I had to do it, and it could be for 5 minutes, it could be all day.
Whoa, dude, that's actually huge right there. I say this all the time, and I've gotten so much pushback on this concept of practice every day, any amount of time, even as small as 5 minutes a day. Because you know what? If you're not a professional guitarist or you're not someone in grad school like me, but you do play guitar, look back on the past year. Have you played guitar every day? Every single day? And are you happy with your guitar playing right now? Chances are, if you're not happy with it, you probably haven't practiced every day. And do you really think you wouldn't be better off had on all those days you didn't practice, you still held the guitar for 5 minutes and worked on your rest stroke or your Raschiatos or just played through a piece or something every single day without fail? I guarantee you would be way more comfortable on the guitar if the statement of I played every single day last year is true. Like, especially with new students, they'll ask, how long should I practice? I say like 1 minute. Practice 1 minute every day. And you know what? I say that, like, who practices 1 minute, right? Like, if you're gonna hold the guitar, you're probably gonna hold it for longer than a minute, and that's kind of the point. Like, really what I'm trying to say is it doesn't matter how long you practice, as long as there's some amount of time dedicated every day to playing the guitar, because it's so easy to just let 2 weeks slip by and you forget that you even play guitar. And Julian Lage, he says he's practiced every day. He's missed one day in the last 20 years. Like, is that obsessive? Especially if we're talking about just 5-minute sessions on those days. Like, that's still kind of an off day. I don't know. Like, I wouldn't say that I obsessively brush my teeth, even though I do that every day. It's just routine. It's just habit. It makes sense to do it every day when it's ingrained in you, you know? Don't think that that's obsessive. That's a normal thing. You pick things that you do every day. If you love it, you'll do it every day, and just do it for any amount of time. Yeah, all right.
At a certain point, I had a hand injury, my left hand. You know, this is when I was I guess I was just getting out of college. I was in my 20s, and it was basically the beginning stages of focal dystonia.
Yep. All right, well, maybe you don't practice that much then, if that's happening. Yeah, do you guys remember that hand injury I had in my left-hand thumb? Remember how I fixed it by just, like, changing my posture and letting it heal slowly over, like, 6 months? I don't have any thumb injury anymore. I'm good. But I used to play guitar with my thumb kind of jammed into the instrument like this, and now I play like that. And that fixed it. So, you know, a lot of those injuries can be addressed. Not focal dystonia. Focal dystonia is a neurological disorder where your stuff fires without you wanting it to fire, and there's no cure for that. So, like, basically, if your finger's in this position, it'll just start, like, twitching like that. But if it's in other positions, it might not twitch, and that's the workaround for focal dystonia. If you can find, like, a different posture that your hand's not used to, you can relearn that posture and hope you don't develop focal dystonia, like, in that posture, you know? Let's see how he worked around it.
And that's where your brain kind of, it's trying to help you, but it starts redirecting neurological signals where you might be used to having 5 fingers with 5 discrete, you know, messages being sent. When you've used these 5 fingers to do one thing for so long, which I had been at that point, the brain kind of merges. It gets more efficient. So it says, we'll send signals, one signal to these 2,
right,
and one signal to these 3, and what you start having is some drooping because the signals aren't actually reaching those fingers.
And which fingers did it affect?
For me, it was the index and the thumb.
Interesting.
Dude, the index is rough. Having that one, that's your old reliable right there. You need that.
Yeah, a lot of people have it in the middle.
Yeah.
Leon Fleischer, I think
Dude, I have it in the middle from flipping off so many people while I'm driving.
It's also known as the yips. You know, like pitchers will have it.
Yeah.
And dystonia of any kind is, you can have vocal dystonia of your vocal cords. You can have dystonia in any part of your body.
What's the worst place to have dystonia? Post in the comments.
And this happened, you know, fortunately, I had help, you know.
Did you know what it was when you got it or not?
No, it
really?
took me a while. I went to everybody I could, and they would, you know, anytime.
Dude, that's sucks, man, when you spent your whole life just like practicing and getting your degrees and all that, and your career is starting, and then your hand just does something that it's never done before. Dude, that sucks. Oh my God.
I think there's a sense of, well, it's stress or it's fatigue or it's
a nightmare. That's what it is.
And it is. But it took some research to kind of hear about this thing called dystonia, where I said, well, it is weird. Like, if I'm not playing guitar, it doesn't happen. And if I am, it does.
That's what's evil about it, too. It's like when you're doing the one thing you want to do, that's when you get it. You can do some other BS that doesn't matter, and that'll be fine. You can, like, perform surgery and your hands will be perfect. Then you go to play your guitar and you just like suck all of a sudden.
That's a kind of a sign that you're being triggered. You know, the guitar in my case it sent a message to the brain that said, hey, go grab that file that says the left hand only has 2 fingers, you know, and it kind of goes open and then it happens. Incredibly freaked out, you know, and my only option was to seek help. And I found one person who's very important to me is a gentleman named Gerald Harsher. He experienced dystonia, and he's an incredible classical guitarist in
there we go,
body mapping, but has other things related to it. But basically has worked with many people to get them through dystonia. And
wait, is this going to be what's his name? Hold on, I think I have his book. David Leisner, there it is. I wonder if it's did he say his name? Is it David Leisner?
He experienced dystonia, and he's an incredible classical guitarist and comes from a discipline called body mapping, but has other things related to it. But basically has worked with many people to get them through dystonia. And
because David Leisner's worked with a lot of people, apparently. I can't even begin to understand that industry. Dude, I hope I don't get focal dystonia. I'm going to be watching my fingers today. They're going to be twitchy.
Along with Dr. Stephen Oswald, who was a huge person.
That's not a very nice thing to say about someone.
The actual, doctor who dealt with the fashion kind of sorted me out on a mechanical level. And Juanito Pascual, who's an incredible flamenco guitar player. Mm-hmm. I went to Gerald and Juanito because I just knew they had great left hands, when they play. Yeah. And they're coming from classical and flamenco, respectively. And I thought, they know something I don't, and I need to...
Oh, yeah, they definitely do. You're right about that.
And sure enough, they just kind of re-educated me about the role of the left hand, and basically in relearning how to, and it's very nuanced, there's a lot of stuff, relearning how to play on the left hand started to diffuse these symptoms.
Yeah, you just pick a new technique that your brain hasn't like ruined for you yet. That's a little scary though. If your brain is prone to ruining that stuff for you, it's like, when's this gonna happen again? Now that you know the real correct technique, yikes, what technique do you learn once that gets focal dystonia? You go to some technique like... It's hard to play classical guitar like that. That wasn't classical guitar, by the way.
Can you show me what?
Yeah, I'll show you. They're I mean,
yeah, show me your weird twitchy fingers,
this is not
Julian.
Glamorous stuff.
Yeah.
But I think you might appreciate it. The first thing is probably better spoken than expressed on the guitar, which was that there was a study, to my understanding, of 100 dystonia people had dystonia, and
make them start an orchestra. Oh no! Oh man, I just lost my place. That was karma right there for saying that.
They're musicians, and the one thing that worked as far as getting them playing, we're talking about people if they touch the instrument, whether it be guitar, piano, or something else, and they couldn't proceed. But the one thing that seemed to work as a through line was that if a piece was slow enough, so I'm talking so slow that you might take 10 minutes to play 4 beats.
Okay.
No, that's slow. That's slow as heck, dude. What are you what? 10 minutes to play 4 beats? Dude, I'm done. I'm not curing my focal dystonia if that's what's required. I'm not doing it. Oh my god.
You don't reach the threshold where the brain kicks in and thinks you're playing. So I took that to heart, and if I were playing a scale, I would land on this G.
Dude, we're going to be here a while. The scale's going to take an hour.
There would be kind of a ratcheting up of sensation in my body. I forget the phrase for it. But you're basically anticipating your next move. And that includes your adrenaline. It includes your whole system. Your, get ready, get set, and you stop right at go. I would basically wait for that to rise up in my body. I'd feel tension in my arm. I'd get kind of droopy. And I would wait for it to subside.
Okay.
And so even as we're sitting here, the exercise is going on, and even in just talking to you right now and doing it, it hasn't subsided. I still get glimpses of not that it's going to droop, but that it's kind of more fatigue, and I've been playing a lot lately, so my body is just tired. So let's say for the sake of argument, we get this far, and I haven't let it subside.
Yep. I
take the hand off, and that was like exercise 1.
Okay.
Great. Then at a certain point, I was doing that, and I said, well, there's still a little bit of a trigger. So what?
Wow, that's really interesting. Just the idea of like your body acting as this like biological machine, sending adrenaline and all this stuff to eventually lead you to the next move. Dude, it's pretty amazing that any of us can play anything on any instrument. Because it's like, what even is this stuff, you know? I'm gonna try that. So. And you just don't do it. And that's exercise 1. Okay, brain, I'm not playing guitar, I promise. Just kidding. You have to fake it out.
We break this into 2 parts. One part, what we know is, you touch the note. But the other part is the arm is making a gesture to the guitar. That's like your, that's the get ready part.
Okay.
So I would come to the guitar and say, I'm going to play a G major scale. And it's funny to talk about it, but it's, I think, important. And I would set my wrist here.
Which is not a place that you would set your wrist.
You wouldn't set your wrist to play the guitar typically.
Yeah.
So I know that I can't reach the string.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is it doesn't trigger the same response. But I'm in the same neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'll do that, and then I'd set it down.
You kind of just sneak around the focal dystonia. It's just like, I'm going to go up here. You want me to come from here? I'm going to go up here. Dude, this is crazy, honestly. This is so not a problem I ever want to have, or that I would wish on anyone. Because already playing music is so hard. Having to, like, fake out your own brain on top of that sucks.
Fortunately, I have a disposition to liking kind of unusual exercises, so I just thought this was, like, fascinating, despite my being depressed about the whole thing. I thought, well, at least I'll, Mick Goodrick used to tease me when I studied with him. He said, this was way before I was injured, he said, Julian, I think a day will come where your form of practicing is just you staring at your left hand, and you'll be getting a kick out of it. And it was a joke, and then here I am literally doing that, and I was getting a kick out of it. So what that led me to was the third part of that, which was that I thought, okay, well, if I want to get in the proximity, and that's not triggering it, but I don't want to fret it, I flip the guitar around.
Okay. And
so I would come here and play what would be geographically the first note of a G major scale, and nothing would trigger. I'd have a softer arm, softer hand. I'd say, I can play here. And I would just I would do this.
Oh, well, I wonder, I saw his hand. His hands do look a little twitchy.
I'd say, I can play here.
See that? Like, I feel like they're, maybe he's just nervous to be on Rick Beato, but I feel like that's not a normal, like, that almost looked like a trimmer in his fingers. Can I see that one more time?
Arm, softer hand. I'd say, I can play here.
Yeah, it was a trimmer and then a leap to the note, which is not what I would do personally. Like, mine is just hovering over the string and then just set the pinky down, set the index down. I don't have focal dystonia. I think we just saw some of the symptoms there, even though it is, like, cured or he's, like, found a workaround. This is something that's lifelong, and it never actually goes away. And you don't cure it, So these are just techniques, I guess, that he's used to get over it. But I can tell the trimmer and the leap, that's not what I would expect.
And I would just I would do this.
And then once it speeds up, it looks like he kind of gets more in a groove.
And with that, there's a lot of tactile sensation. And tactile sensation is great when your brain is kind of playing tricks on you. It orients you. So I thought, wow, so my fingers aren't just these hammers. They're fingertips, and they feel things. So that was kind of the clue to say, well, now when I flip it over, before I even play the G, suppose I get all the way here, what's the texture of the string? In this case, it's flat wound.
Yeah, it's interesting that he plays flat wound. You think he'd be all about texture, given this whole explanation.
Warm. Is it cold? And I would do this, Rick, for hours.
That's crazy. Dang, dude.
Kind of go just marveling, just waiting for the dystonia thing to kick in.
Yeah.
Once it would sufficiently kind of stabilize, I started playing, And even just having done that for the last few moments, internally, my body feels a lot better. And I don't have the same symptoms, isn't it?
I can tell his hands are a little shaky, though. And, obviously he's worked around it, because he's, like, a virtuoso famous guitarist. But, man, that sucks. That should get everyone hope, though. Like, if something like this is happening, like, I'm gonna try this if I ever start experiencing symptoms like this. The whole idea of, like, touch, too, like, actually feeling the tactile sensation of the string, that's something that I already do. And I tell my students to do that, too. Especially when it comes to playing, fretting notes. Not just using your fingers as hammers, like you said, but actually feeling the metal fret. And in that, you can use the least amount of tension in your left hand. But, like, for every one of those notes, like, I'm feeling the string and the metal of the fret. And it helps just coordinate where you are. You can almost triangulate where you want to go. If I'm playing something like this, Like, I can feel exactly where the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th frets are, because I have all these reference points now. And I can even shift and move this chord and put it in the perfect spot as long as I feel the metal on all of those. And like with that, I'm feeling the metal. So that's good. That's good stuff to think about.
There's 2 other things. I mean, I guess we're here to talk, right, about all this stuff.
Yeah, dude,
I know you can appreciate it. Juanito. We were talking about Juanito Pascual. Again, incredible player, just artist and composer. He says something that was so hip to me, and I'm probably butchering it, but this is how I interpreted it. We were talking about the left hand. I said, okay, so like I've been playing since my hands were really little, and when your hand is little and the guitar's this size, all I remember thinking was squeeze.
Right.
For the love of God, squeeze.
Yeah.
And when you're little, it works. You squeeze, and okay, yeah, that's the thing. But now my physical stature is bigger than the guitar, and squeezing almost feels like inappropriate. Like I've obviously squeezed myself into a dilemma. Right. Like literally, I can't play, I'm canceling.
That's a great point, too. Playing when you're a kid, the technique has to change as you grow. That's another reason why I really recommend everybody, especially children, start off, and I mean adults too, start off with classical guitar. And I mean, from this, start with like a half-size classical guitar, something that feels like how a regular guitar will feel when you are a big kid, like how I am. I'm just kidding, I'm a man. Dude, a half-size classical Yamaha, $149 new. Just get one of those, man. Put some low tension strings on that for him, and you'll be raising a little virtuoso in no time.
I'm freaked out, like what's going on? And he proposed something, this is the part that I'm paraphrasing, where he said, well, think about this, Julian. Imagine that depressing a string with your left hand on a guitar is similar to displacing water in a puddle if you were to step in it. Like, have you ever stepped in a puddle and worried that you wouldn't make it to the bottom? He said, well, no, especially if we're talking a shallow puddle, right?
Right.
You know you're going to reach it, but you're just going to get wet doing it. He said, so I want you to remember that you have weight that you can lean into the guitar. And that's a very confusing notion given the angles of a guitar. It's not like we're leaning into a piano.
Right.
We're kind of leaning leaning back. It's a confusing, the physics aren't obvious at first glance.
Yeah, this is actually something I've seen. Oh man, this is from so long ago, but it was just some conversation in a pedagogy class in my undergrad. In some classical guitar pedagogy books, I forget the one it was, but it was some guitar composer pedagogue who made this analogy to gravity being a thing to think about on the fretboard. And it doesn't really make sense, right? Because the fretboard's back, like he's saying. The whole gravity thing is probably an anachronism, or I don't know if that's the right word for it. It's a stolen idea from like piano and violin pedagogy, because both of them, it's gravity, right? Violin, gravity. You can actually use gravity to press down. Piano, same thing, obviously, even more so probably. And you know, guitar is like always looking for stuff because there's like not a whole lot of literature and pedagogy on it. There is, especially now. So, interesting idea.
So he said, here's a way you can try that. He said, take a note, and we'll say, let's see. Let's say that.
Okay, that's more than a note, but
let's say this G. He said, I want you with your right hand to...
He was just trying to find one that he knew the name of.
Separate the push down on the B string. Decide what finger you're going to use. I think we'll say the pinky. Well, I'll say third finger, because that one's tired today. He said, I just want you to hold it down. What do you feel? I said, well, I feel kind of nervous, like, because this is awkward. But I feel the fret, or the fingerboard, I should say. He said, okay, well, move it up and down so you feel the bump of the frets. And I said, okay, feel again. Now we're inviting sensation. He said, now when you're ready and you've sufficiently your fingers become a finger that feels and not a finger that executes.
Right.
I want you to let go of this right hand. And what happens is the string kind of gets trapped under your finger pad. And then if you play it, even that has a stronger fundamental than the G I played a second ago, I can tell.
Right.
And also, I haven't tensed up to play it. It's almost like a...
Well, maybe so, but I mean, that doesn't look like technique I'd want to use to play a G, personally. Like, it kind of just looks like you're mashing your finger into the string, which is like... And that might just be something from the focal dystonia, but you can implement all of this and also press with the tip of your finger, and you can use weight pulling into the guitar like this, and also keep your thumb back here, not putting too much pressure on your thumb, but just like a little bit of a counterweight, you know? I don't know, I wouldn't copy that. Honestly, as far as left-hand technique goes, that kind of sucks. I'm gonna be honest. All right, that's
It's like a car rolling over a piece of paper. It's like I have it pinned down, and I would do that with every finger, with every note, until I felt like my hand was sufficiently. I wasn't sweating it. If I touch the guitar, the string will go down. That's what will happen.
I guess, is the point of this exercise to know exactly the pressure you need to press on the string? Because again, I feel like you can do this with proper, like, left-hand technique as well. I mean, this is all really good stuff, and I feel like it's stuff that is talked about in classical pedagogy quite a bit. So it makes sense that he found classical and flamenco players to help him. But it's like, yeah, you know, this information exists out there. The most effective way to play the guitar, it exists. It's there. You don't have to find it. Just look at the classical people. Look at the rep they play. You know, there's nothing harder than the stuff you'll hear these people play. Trust me. All right, pretty interesting. Should we keep listening to the fatigue?
It's funny when you see babies with a guitar or something, you know, or any kid or something. And I know you must know that. They just got to push on it. You play. You can kind of smush your hands across the guitar. I had a whole different upbringing. I thought the left hand was more claw-like, and you had to grab it. And I thought that it looked like what a guitar
Interesting. And even you can even see the grabbing in his hand when he does that. See how his wrist goes like that? I would never think to do that.
Grab it. And I thought that it looked...
It's like snappy. It doesn't have to be snappy. You can move. Like, there are times to be snappy, of course, but this is all good stuff.
Like what
because you did, because you had small hands.
I had to. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It occurred to me, like, of course.
Yeah.
But it's not the same body, you know, in that respect, as far as stature. That alone changed everything. And I said, okay. And I started playing on the pads, my fingers, so I mostly play that way still. Yeah, it's far
All right, seems like it conquered the focal dystonia there, I gotta say.
more like smushy. I'm just kind of smushing, and it didn't trigger the brain thing.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a weird way to think about it. I don't know if I'd think smushy. Like, again, this is all for, like, focal dystonia. I feel like there's more conclusions we can draw from this that I just am not going to do right now. So, I think we've watched enough of this. Let's go ahead and end this here. And, of course, we can always go back into that if we want to talk more about focal dystonia, because why wouldn't we? That's, like, a horrible, horrifying thing to think about. I think we should go ahead and wrap this one up here. Hey! If you made it this far, be sure to subscribe and leave a like. And, of course, leave any questions you have about anything, or comments if you want to call me an idiot. That's fine too. I appreciate that as well. What else we got? Of course, there's merch. I think the sale ended, but there'll be another one at some point, probably. Who knows? There's Patreon, there's member section, there's all that. And yeah, thanks for watching this one. I think this one might have been kind of long, because I've been watching for like over an hour. We'll see how far I whittle this down. But yeah, thanks for sticking around, stopping by. I'll see you in the next one.